We'll be converting inequalities to and from set notation, graphs, and to interval notation. So first we'll look at this one. This says that we have a bracket 2 and then infinity. What this is telling us on the number line, let's kind of draw a number line here. Let's put a 2 on here. And what's what's after 2 is numbers like 3, what's before 2, or numbers like 1. Okay, this says that from the left, 2 is your stopping point with a bracket. So to the left, 2 is the stopping point. Then it says to the right, it's infinity. So that means we're using the arrow here to keep going. So we're using all the numbers after 2, including 2. So we get to use 3, 4, 5, etc. But we also get to use 2. So this is the graph that we're going to use to represent for it. We're just going to use this portion right here. So the graph will be a solid dot going to the right, and then we'll put a 2 there. And we're done. That's your graph. Now, the interval notation, we have to say, well, what's happening, how far to the left? Set notation. We'll be using x. We'll say, well, x. And we usually use this right here to know if we're using greater than or less than. And this arrow right here says that we need the same arrow there. Okay. So that's your greater than, which means you're going to the right. Now, since it is filled in at 2, it means we're actually using 2. So we'll use an equal sign and then put the number 2. So x is greater than or equal to the number 2, which means it's going to the right. So we'll put x is greater than or equal to 2. Now, this one right here, this is negative infinity to negative 4. Okay, the interval. And we're going to create a quick graph for that. And we'll put negative 4 right here. What's after negative 4? Numbers like negative 3. What's before negative 4? Numbers like negative 5. Now, this says to the left, we're going to keep going to negative infinity. So we're using actually this part right here. To the right, we're going no further than negative 4. So that means we're stopping here. And there's no bracket, so it means that we're going to put a circle there. And so we're using all of these numbers that are before a negative 4. Numbers like negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. All those numbers we're using. We're just not using a negative 4, but anything before it, we're using. So let's represent this. Let's put this graph right here, there. So arrow going to the left, and then open right here, and then a negative 4. And we're done. Okay, that's your graph. Now, set notation. Ask how far, what is x doing overall? So set notation starts off with x. So start x there. And you see that we're using the left side right here. So we're going to use a less than sign that looks just like this guy right here. There we go. These two, they match. Okay, and then we'll put the negative 4 in there. Now, we don't need an equals because the 4 is not being used. It's circled. It means not using it. So we won't use an equal sign here. So x is less than a negative 4. And we're done. Next, we have a number line here that's missing a negative 4. Okay, so we have a number line here, open circle, right at negative 4. And there's negative 5 behind it, and there's negative 3 in front of it. And we're using all of these and all of these. So if I were to separate that, let's just take this part right here. There's a graph of this portion right here. The graph of this portion will be negative infinity to negative 4 to right, and we'll bracket. Sorry, not bracket, but parenthesis. Then this portion right here would be this right here. Okay. And we can represent this right here as to the left, negative 4, comma, to the right, positive infinity because of this, and parenthesis there. So you have two answers, one representing the left side, and then another answer representing all the numbers on the other side. And then we combine these two using negative infinity to negative 4, unioned with -4 to positive infinity. And that's how we represent all the numbers here and all numbers here. So let's put that in for set notation. Negative infinity to -4, unioned with, let's pull this up a little bit, -4 to positive infinity. Finish. Now the interval notation for this right here, for this portion right here, this will be x, and then we'll use this right here, is less than -4. So this is x is less than -4. And then we use this part right here. This would say, because this is using the greater than sign, that x is greater than -4. Okay, so we'll write that here. X is greater than, oh sorry, it should not be an equal sign there, my fault. That should be just strictly less than. And this is to be x is greater than -4. So this has, the interval notation has two pieces too. And here we use the union, here we use the word or to separate them. Okay, we're done. Lastly, we have a situation where we're using the numbers between 4 and 6. Okay, we're using all those numbers right there. But we're not using 4, but we are using 6. Okay, so we're not using 4, but we are using 6. But we're using all the numbers after 4, like 5 and all the decimals and everything. All right, so let's write this down. This will be for interval notation. To the left, it goes no further than 4. And then to the right, it goes no further than 6. Now 4 is not being used, so we use a parenthesis. 6 is used, so we use a bracket. So this is how far to the left and how far to the right you go. So set notation will be parentheses 4, 6, and bracket. Now, how to represent this as an interval notation? The interval notation for this, since we're using all the numbers in between, it's a little different. So you use x, of course, but we say x, and we use the less than for this side, and then we put the 4. On the other side, we use another less than, and then we use the number 6. What this means, when you put x less, 4 is less than x less than 6. This actually means that x is all the numbers between 4 and 6. Oh, we got to include 6. So we're going to put a dash here. So this will be 4 to x and then 6.